Just taste it.
Yeah, no.
No, just really quickly.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's not going to kill you, sweetie.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to.
I don't even use Teflon frying pans.
Put your finger in there.
No, don't do that.
So the Salton Sea is actually a lake that is surrounded by agricultural activities, and over the years has become extremely polluted and toxic due to the nitrates and phosphates and such from fertilizers.
Yeah. But I don't know.
It's a little depressing.
We're on our way to Mecca. We just left Joshua Tree, traveling south through the Mecca Wilderness area. In the early 1900s, and about 50 years after the California Gold Rush, the first dams were being built on the Colorado River, about an hour from here at the California-Arizona border. Prior to the dams, the Colorado River would occasionally, about 3 times every 1,000 years, change its path and flow north rather than south. When this happened, a huge inland lake was created that stretched from Indio to El Centro. In 1905, engineers were working on a dike system near Yuma. Dike was breached. For the next 2 years, the Colorado River flowed north and the Salton Sea was created. I don't think there's fish left in it. I'm not sure, but I've been to the lake bottom before, and it was just a mass of bones and fish bones and stuff. For the next 70 years, people visited this huge inland lake, and it became part of the California beach scene. Beach houses and beach resorts were built on its shores. A-list entertainment like Frank Sinatra and the Beach Boys would play to huge crowds. It was called the California Riviera, and for decades it was the place to be.
A whole new outlet for the crowded millions in big cities. A Palm Springs with water.
The breach in the dike was fixed in 1907, so that was the end of the constant inflow of water.
This sign at the entrance to the Salton Sea campground basically says, stay away from the algae, keep your children away from the algae, make sure if you catch any fish, you wash and clean them with water that is not from the lake, don't let your pets in the water, don't drink the water, and don't eat any shellfish caught in the water. But please enjoy your stay at our wonderful campground.
Approximately 1/6 of the lake's volume evaporates annually. Without a considerable volume of incoming water, the lake would dry up in less than a decade. The dikes were created to sustain farming, and the agricultural runoff helped sustain the lake for the next several decades. The Colorado River has a high salt content, so the Imperial Valley farmers needed to overwater. They regularly flood the fields and let the overflow drain down into the Salton Sea, where it maintains the water levels. The Salton Sea has no outflow other than evaporation. Any minerals or salts transported to the lake stay there. At first, this was great. The lake is about 200 feet below sea level, and this, combined with the salt content, made it an ideal boating location. Huge regattas were held, and many speed records of the day were broken on the Salton Sea.
Thanks, nice to have you here.
Thank you, Jack. Nice to be here.
We're going to get a good start?
Looks like a real good start. There goes the flare, and the race is on.
The lake was stocked with saltwater fish, including tilapia, and sport fishing became another draw. By mid-century, the Salton Sea would see more tourists than Yosemite.
Okay, so we're walking on a bed of fish bone.
The lake's too salty to support life. In addition to the salts and minerals, fertilizer toxins were also transported to the lake. They would settle into the lake bed and be forgotten about by all except the environmentalists who started raising concerns in the 60s. In the 80s, when other environmental alarm bells, like PCBs, acid rain, and the ozone layer were being revealed and reacted to, the Salton issues were mostly ignored. And then stuff just started dying. Fish died by the thousands. Some died because the water became too salty. Some died because it became too toxic. Others died because the lake would run out of oxygen.
That is some salty water.
Twice as salty as the Atlantic.
Oh, just taste it.
Yeah, no.
No, just really quickly.
Yeah, I'm
it's
good.
It's not going to kill you, sweetie.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to.
I don't even use Teflon frying pans.
Put your finger in there.
No, don't do that.
About 10 years ago, it got so salty that all the large marine fish died, except for the estimated 40 million tilapia in the sea today. And
There's nobody picnicking on this Sunday afternoon.
Nope. There are some birds in the lake.
All of that sounds pretty bad, but it's about to get a lot worse. Colorado River water is becoming more and more valuable, so farmers are changing their techniques and using less of it. The excess no longer flows into the Salton at the same rate it used to. It's sold now to nearby communities facing constant droughts, communities like San Diego. As a result, less water is flowing into the Salton than is needed to sustain it. Remember that toxic lake bed? It's being exposed as the water evaporates and the lake level drops. In addition to ample sunshine, the area also gets a lot of wind, as evidenced by the huge wind farms visible in all directions. The wind picks up the dust and makes it airborne, where it gets into everything. Asthma rates in the Imperial Valley are 20%, double the national rate.
And as the temperatures heat up and the water recedes, the dust is exposed and blows around. So it's toxic and contaminated dust that covers the ground.
By 2030, so much of the lake bed will be exposed, doctors fear the entire valley could become uninhabitable by humans. A recent plan to build a desalination plant on the lakeshore and then pump water from the Sea of Cortez in Mexico to the Salton Sea, desalinate it, and then feed it into the lake has recently been rejected. Another more short-term proposal is to pay farmers in the Imperial Valley to not plant crops, so the water they would have used can be sent to the Salton instead. It's a crazy situation with no clear resolution in sight, and every year it's going to get a little worse. At this rate, the Salton could be 30% of its normal level by the year 2030. Something needs to be done, but right now there is no plan. So after last night's driving, in the morning, we noticed that the tires on the trailer are wearing quickly, much more quickly than we anticipated. And it seems to be accelerating.
But still, it is disintegrating, babe.
When we pull into the Salton Sea State Park, look at the tires and see that even in the short distance from Joshua Tree to the Salton Sea State Park, they have worn considerably.
Holy cow. We can't go anywhere on that.
Nope. We need new tires again.
And steel belting is starting to show.
Well, we got to figure out what's going on.
Just having a real issue with these tires still. So, these are the new used tires we bought in Vegas.
The passenger side tire on the trailer is just disintegrating too quickly. It's got a bulge protruding now through the steel belting, and I'm certain it won't make it to El Centro. The other
Okay, spare tires on.
The other tire is slightly better, so we're going to have to take the Xterra spare and put it on the trailer and hope the other tire makes it.
But yeah, we've got issues we've got to figure out here.
Hi, it's us again. We're still driving. We left Joshua Tree thinking we were going to come to the Salton Sea and then Slab City. And we did make it to the Salton Sea, but as we pulled over at the beach, we noticed one of the trailer tires, the wire, what do you call it, banding?
Steel belting.
Steel belting was
Exposed.
very exposed.
So hopefully we can get to El Centro.
Bombay Beach, California, a bustling resort town alongside a desert lake oasis. Look again, and today it is an abandoned wasteland. Apocalyptic ruins with decrepit bleached structures sit alongside some of the strangest art I've ever seen. It feels like you're on a movie set. Its story is tied to that of the Salton Sea. The 2 years of the Colorado River flooding created the 15-mile wide by 35-mile long Salton Sea. Of course, people capitalized on this newly created massive lake in the middle of the desert, and from 1940 to 1960, it was the lakeside resort for the rich. It had hotels, a golf course, even a yacht club. When the breach was plugged, the lake started to shrink and the salinity and chemical runoff from the farms became toxic. Bombay Beach is now just an abandoned resort town alongside a toxic lake. It still does have a small population, and artists come from all over the world to make their mark on this desert beach.
I mean, this whole area is a little bit. It's really apocalyptic. It's a weird feel to
It's
it.
like Mad Max.
Mad Max, Walking Dead, all of that stuff. Just weird people living in. It is. It's just a weird kind of feel. Like the people living here are kind of eking out an existence from a bizarre situation where everything around them is dead, poison.
Yeah, it's true.
So.
Anyway, so we'll talk to you when we're in El Centro. If we make it that far.
Yes. Fingers crossed. I'd like to get there.
We should keep the camera going for our big rollout.
Yeah. Going to that 45-degree.
Let's talk about something else. Like happy times.
There's big ditches on this side too, so if we lost control, we're going to roll for sure.
Put your seatbelt on.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And while we're here, we're going to go back to basics and try and fix this installation, this timber and axle installation once and for all. Okay, so this is what's going on out of the trailer. See the extreme shimming I've done? That's putting a lot of stress on the bolts. And I've had to do the shimming because right there, that aluminum angle is flexing. It's bending up, and so to compensate for that angle, I'm putting the shims in. So, as per the manual, if you don't have enough cross bracing for the trailer frame, which we obviously don't, there's too much flex, they suggest adding a steel gusset or a steel angle bracket with gussets on the inside of the trailer frame. So that's what we're going to do. So I need to buy steel, I need to cut steel, and I need to get it welded. I've taken the entire suspension apart, and we're going to reinforce it and get it welded together with some gussets. The residents of the trailer park are quite intrigued by our apocalyptic-looking trailer design. A bunch of them have popped by to see if they can be of assistance. First was Jan and Al, and they came by and was trying to set me up with a steel supplier. And then John and Frederica came by, and he asked how I needed some tools. And I said, no, I've got tools. I've got lots of tools with me. And then just offhandedly, I said, well, I could use a welder. And he replied, well, I have a welder. John used to be a boat builder, aluminum boat builder out of Maine. He built aluminum lobster boats. His family was in the boat business, and his dad built boats. He's built 20 or 30 aluminum lobster boats out of Maine. He used to fish lobster, and one day he had a capsize in his lobster boat. His boat sank, and he got bonked on the head and went into the water and damn near drowned. So after that, he switched to land-based pursuits at some point. Came out west, came to California, worked in a machine shop. You know, recently in the past few years, moved into this a double wide here in the Desert Trails RV park.
Oh yeah, and this is what he extracted from me for payment. Moving this tiny little milling machine up onto the bench. Bamboozled me.
That was the payment.
That's right. Well earned, I say.
Yeah.
That thing was a beast. This is the piece of steel that I bought, and then these are the gussets that John welded in place for extra strength. And this should help stiffen up the suspension a lot. Got one on each side, reinstalled with 5/8 inch grade 8 bolts and nuts.